Robby Snelling was drafted in the competitive balance A round, 39th overall out of McQueen High School in Reno, Nevada in 2022. After spending the rest of 22 at the complex where he developed a changeup, the still 19-year-old made 22 starts over 3 levels, compiling 118 strikeouts in 103 innings, narrowly missing being named minor league pitcher of the year to recently acquired Drew Thorpe. Robby Snelling, welcome back to Friars on the Farm, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me.
Hey, so I did notice you posted the video of the Drew Thorpe acquisition on your Instagram. Did you know him?
Yeah, so I mean, we share the same agent, and he's a California kid, and so just out of that, you're pretty centrally located, close to each other. So you gotta kind of stick together for that type of thing. But yeah, no, we've had some good conversations, and even like when we were up against each other for the MILB Pitcher of the Year, both congratulating each other just for being nominated because that's a huge accomplishment. And that's really where kind of got the ball rolling with just the conversation between us. And then once it got announced that he was coming to the Padres, he was like, all right, let's get to work together. It's going to be fun. So it's pretty good, pretty cool to have him, and I'm really excited.
Dude, that double A rotation is going to be just filthy. It's just going
Yes,
to
yeah.
be nasty. And then I noticed last night that you're talking to a bunch of kids with Butch Bacala. What was going on there?
Yeah, so Butch is somebody that I crossed paths with during the travel ball circuit, growing up and doing that thing. I played for a travel team down in Southern California. The start of my seventh grade year, I started doing that, all the way throughout high school. And Butch has had a lot of titles, worked in a lot of different places in the baseball world, has a lot of connections, and he's somebody that I sparked a really good relationship with, and somebody that I enjoy being around, and that has done nothing but supported me, and he brags me up, and it's a great person to have behind your back. And so he asked me if I would come down and speak to his travel ball teams last night, and that was down in Rockland, California. And so made the drive down there from Reno, and gave that little talk to him, and it was awesome. Great turnout, about 40 kids, 35 to 40 parents, and it was a great time.
So did you were you faced with any weird questions? Did anybody kind of stump you on any questions there?
Yeah, I mean, there was one question in particular that it was really kind of tough for me to answer. Something that I'd never really dealt with myself, so that's what made it tough to answer. And it was a player question. He asked, in this day of you have a trainer, and then you have your specific high school team that you play for. Sometimes not everybody sees eye to eye, and so he has a trainer telling him one thing and a coach telling him the other, and he asked me, like, who do I listen to? And I mean, that was tough because I'm not going to try and tell a kid how
Yeah.
who he should be listening to, and how he should go about his career, because that's your own journey. And so it took me a second to answer him, and I told him I'd get back to him. And finally, when I did, I just said, you know I've been lucky enough to not have been in a situation that is, that ended badly in that way. But you got to just listen to whoever you think has your best interest in mind, and is most focused on your success in your career.
I would think both have their best interest in mind, but the high school coach needs to win ball games,
Yeah,
and the trainer just wants you to be a really good ball player. So there is,
exactly.
they both have your best interest in mind, but one has more kind of to lose or to gain from
Yeah,
any kind of question that he may ask you to do.
You know,
exactly.
that's an interesting angle because
Yeah,
okay, so you're playing minor league ball and your ultimate goal is to make it to the next level, ultimately to the majors. Not
Right.
necessarily to win today's game, to win a championship for the Storm, the Missions, whoever. Um, do you find that the competitive juices are a little bit different being in the minors versus where you were travel ball or playing high school?
I feel like one thing that has helped me be the pitcher that I am is that, I mean, when I'm on the field and I'm pitching that day, I just want to win. And with that kind of mindset, I feel like that puts me at my best chance for success throughout the entire season. So, you know, obviously it'd be awesome, and it's great to see your other buddies that are starting pitchers win. But I mean, I'd be lying if I told you that it wasn't a little bit more hard pressed on myself on my day that I'm pitching, that I just say, hey, I'm going to do everything in my ability to win this game today, because that's going to be a good look on the team, and a good look on myself, because that means that I did my job and I had a successful day. So,
Yeah, just see guys get on base with you. It turns. You know, we talk about the bulldog that comes out in you when you get a couple guys on base, man,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they stay there. Like, rarely do you let too many runs in. So
yeah.
before we go any further, you're still 19 years old. Your birthday is next week.
Yes,
So
sir.
from us, happy birthday, man. Happy
Thank you.
Yeah,
20.
happy
Thank you.
birthday.
I appreciate it.
So you've got the Christmas birthday. Did you grow up having everybody kind of combo the birthday presents together, or
I mean,
were they able to?
some of the family, yeah, some of the family that I don't see too often. My parents always did a pretty good job of separating them, and so, I still got the birthday and Christmas presents. But most, I don't really have any family that lives, remotely close to me. Most of them are in California and Idaho and in different areas, so don't get to see them as much as I see my parents, obviously. So, once I do see them, all the gifts are coming in at one time. So
Hey, do you still have the Raptor?
I do. Yeah,
Did it make it out to Fort Wayne? Did it make it out to San
it did.
Antonio?
It made it to all the different stops. Fort Wayne was a little delayed shipping from Lake E.
Right.
It was about 2 weeks late, just from I don't know, something got screwed up in the trucking. But I got it at every stop that I made. So it got to make the rounds with me.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's
I
so
think that's part of the new labor agreement, that the teams are taking a little bit better care, and that's an example of that they're willing to help ship your stuff, because we've heard stories about like dude's girlfriend driving his car across
yeah.
country because he had to fly ahead, and they
Yeah,
just jammed everything in the car, and now she's spending 3 days driving from A to B. Thank goodness you don't have to
exactly.
do that anymore.
I know. I'm very thankful for that.
Um, Another thing I found out from your high school, you broke the Sean Estes strikeout record at McQueen.
I did. Yeah.
Did you grow up a Giants fan?
I did. Yeah. My grandparents on my dad's side are from San Francisco. So, you know, Giants fans when we were growing up. The funny thing is like right before the draft, the week before the draft, the Sunday before, I flew down to San Diego to meet with the Padres, and I was up in the box with AJ and all the higher ups, and I was meeting with them, and they're playing the Giants, and I'm like, this is gonna be tough. Like I'm not affiliated to the Padres. I'm here to
Uh,
meet with them. Like,
right.
but the Giants are my team. Like that's who I root for. And so, I was up in the box and just, talking, but secretly kind of watching both sides,
Side eye in the
rooting for one side
game.
a little more. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, it was a fun trip.
I can see like, hey, Robby, what? Hold on. Let me
Yeah.
watch this at bat, dude.
Let me
Let me
watch
watch
this.
this at
Yeah.
bat.
The cool thing was Mackenzie Gore was pitching too, and so that was pretty cool to see a young left-handed guy there throwing for the Padres. So
Nice. You can imagine yourself in that, on that mound. That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah,
So you grew up in Reno. Did you go to a lot of Aces games? They're a Diamondbacks affiliate your
yep,
whole
yep.
time coming up, right?
I did, yeah. So I mean, another cool story about that. I watched Seth Beer a lot when he was in Reno playing for the Aces, and then this last year when we were playing Amarillo in the playoffs, I got to face him, and so I mean that was something that was crazy. I was watching this guy, middle school, early high school years, and now I'm pitching against him. It's pretty surreal.
Yeah, and he's
The,
made it to the bigs. How'd you do against him?
Yeah, yeah, I pitched pretty well against him. I think I struck him out on the first at bat, and then I don't really remember what happened after that. I don't
that
think he
doesn't.
got a hit off of me though.
Nice.
And then Crow beamed him in the playoffs. That was
Yeah, he did. He did.
All right, so let's go back to the complex. When you're transitioning your body from kind of like a football into a kind of a baseball workout, is there more flexibility training there? How did you kind of bulk down to get into a kind of baseball shape?
Right. So I mean, the flexibility has always been there. Like I'm flexible in the positions that I get into. The big thing that they were hammering with me was mobility. And I mean, I really, once I got drafted, I thought flexibility and mobility were the same exact thing. But they're not. Like you can be flexible in your hamstrings, but if you're flexible in your hamstrings, you're not talking about mobility. You're not talking about your hip shoulder separation and that type of thing, and creating torque in your T spine, and doing that type of thing. But I mean, that's something that they really hammered with me, was just my hip mobility.
Yeah.
It was pretty off, just from, like you said yourself, I was playing football, and I was padding my body up and getting ready for contact, and then high school baseball would come around, and I would stop doing my football workouts, and kind of shed that muscle. But the mobility was never really a huge focus. And so once I really started focusing on that, I just started seeing my everything, just kind of, my ceiling just rose.
So through high school, were you used to that cycle of trying to like bulk up through the summer for football and then trying to lean up for the spring?
So I probably wouldn't say that I got used to it until the end of my sophomore year. And then I really kind of had it figured out. And so, but it was kind of a learning curve for myself, just, trying to figure out what was going to work best for me. And then, I was taking football pretty seriously in high school. I wanted to go play in college. And so, I was making sure that my body was ready for football season. So I wasn't gonna, disappoint the coaches that were watching me and recruiting me, and I was still going to have those offers coming in, and being successful on the football field. And then as soon as football is done, you're 180ing everything, and just
Wow.
and changing your whole workout routine, running a lot more. You're changing your diet, which is a huge thing. And it was tough, but junior and senior year, I really kind of had it figured out, to the point where it didn't hinder me. I didn't feel like, when the important baseball games got into like playoffs, and late in season. So
Man, that's a lot different from those days. I was loading up on bean burritos and pizza rolls and stuff.
right.
So was it just football and baseball, or did you play any other sports growing up?
I played. So my dad started me with golf, which paid off now that I'm, just pitching, because I get to golf all I want now. Um, but other than that, I played basketball, and wrestled a little bit. But really, the main sports were football, baseball, and basketball. And then I stopped playing basketball once I got to high school.
Do you keep a handicap in golf now? What's your
I
handicap look
do.
like?
I do. I'm probably a 3 right now. I would say that I got pretty close to scratch during the season when I was playing 3 or 4 times a week, but kind of slowed down a little bit since the season stopped.
Oh man, what was your track in Lake Elsinore?
What did we go to? Menifee Lakes is in
Yeah.
Temecula.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would go there a lot. Which, I mean, it's not a goat track. It's more of a muni course. So I mean, once we got to Fort Wayne, I was playing some nicer courses, and playing Cherry Hill, and those courses. So that was pretty fun.
Who
Yeah,
was your
but golf,
double?
golf, golf isn't cheap. Yeah.
No, it's not.
Who were you playing with? Who?
So I play with a couple other starting pitchers. I mean, Dylan Lesko loves golfing, so I would go with him occasionally. Even though during the season, I was never at the same spot as him. Once the season got done and we were in Arizona for our strength camp that we had in November, we were golfing a lot. But I would go with Cole Paplum, Thomas Balboni. Um, who else? I'd go with one of the catchers, Colton Bender, in
Yeah.
Fort Wayne. We would go a lot, and Andrew Vale. It was a big mix of guys.
Roy's a big golfer. That's why I'm kind of laughing and kind of letting him take that stuff.
Yeah, we're
Right.
gonna have to have a whole different segment on golf someday.
We can do that.
All right. So, in Elsinore, dude, you just dominated. And, did you start with a pitch mix in the beginning of the season and then move off to something else? Or did you kind of, as you kind of went along, did you focus on other pitches and try to develop more to see where that pitch mix worked?
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, it was pretty dominant from the start in Lakey, and I knew what I was gonna throw the entire time. If I stayed there the entire season, I knew it was gonna work. Um, so really towards the end when they started kind of priming me to start moving up the affiliates towards the end, they started focusing on, you got to throw your changeup more. You got to throw, all right, you're not going to be able to throw fastballs in every count. You're going to, mix things in. You're going to start with a changeup. You're going to throw a breaking ball more, and just kind of pick and choose in specific counts, and be more selective with the pitches I was throwing instead of just overpowering with fastball and breaking ball. And really just kind of refining, a pitch arsenal, and really separating the pitches from each other so they played off of each other.
I would imagine being a power pitcher in high school, you were able to get by with just kind of going at whatever you felt like throwing and not really having much of a plan to it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in high school, I only threw a fastball and curveball, so there was never really, a need for a changeup, and that was, I wouldn't say it was a knock on me, but that was the one thing that once I got drafted, it was like, hey, you're gonna have to figure this out. So, and at that point, I didn't even have a grip on a changeup that you know moved the right way. It was a cut changeup, and so I mean, now we got it to the point where I love throwing it. Once I got up to Double A, I threw it a lot, and it was a pitch that I had success with. So I'm excited to see how that rolls into this next season.
Okay, so I've heard that a changeup is something that pitchers have a relationship with, good and bad, messing with different grips, different release motions. So did you have much of a journey to find the changeup that you have now?
Yeah, I probably went through 6 different grips on trying to find out which one was gonna work the best, and, what was comfortable in my hand, because, like, everybody, you know, changeup's just gonna get guys off of your fastball. So, and it's a unique grip for everybody, but however you can hold it and get it to do what it's supposed to do, it doesn't matter how you hold it. So that was the thing that I had to figure out, was like, hey, I look at all these videos of these guys holding it that way. That might not be how I'm gonna hold it. And so once I found a grip that worked for myself after, about six times of throwing and weeks on end working and seeing if it was gonna work for me or not, we finally found one. And so that's a pretty good feeling when you don't have to go into a week and be like, all right, what grip am I gonna try this week? So
So okay, so how do you hold it and what does it do?
So right now I'm holding it kind of seam shifted, and I'm working more off of my ring finger than anything else.
So
Kind
is
of
it
take
is it
my
like a circle or a Vulcan or
it's more of like, I don't have a baseball in here. Surprised. But it's more of like, I would call it kind of it's more of a Vulcan, but I mean my thumb is on the very bottom of the ball.
Wow.
And it's literally, it's just my ring finger and my pinky that are resting on the ball, and it's just coming out that way because I don't pronate well. I supinate really well. And hence that's why I throw my breaking ball and my slider really well. But I just can't pronate. And that's the one crazy thing about Dylan Lesko, because he throws such a good changeup, and you're like, oh, this guy throws a good changeup. Let me ask him, like, how do you throw it so well? I don't know. I just do this. And that's the thing, that's what makes him so good, is that he can't explain to you
Yeah.
how he does what he does. And so, that's something that I was like, because I roomed with Dylan for the strength camp and post draft and all of those different things. And I just had to stop asking him how he did things, because he's a freak athlete. So he just does things how, his body wants to.
Yeah, I
Funny.
saw a
And
thing with Pedro Martinez a while ago, and I mean everything he threw was just so filthy, but his
yeah,
changeup was otherworldly. And he's talking about how involved his pinky is and all this. Turns out he's double jointed, and that's part of
Yeah.
why he was able to get the ball to do the things he was able to get it to do, because just biologically his body did things that most of us can't.
Yeah. All right. So I got a baseball now.
nice.
Oh, there we
So
go.
yeah, it's kind of works along with the seams, and it's just coming off. So like if you look at it, it's literally just my ring finger and pinky on the top of it. and it just comes out that way super easy. So I don't even have to focus on pronating really. I just have to feel like I'm pulling straight down, and the baseball does its own thing.
Does it tumble and drop, or does it have a little bit of arm side?
There's a little bit of arm side movement to it.
Lefties. I'm a lefty.
There you go.
Okay, so hey, hitters have a ton of information on the pitchers. Do you guys get a ton of information on the hitters?
We do. So we have a website we use called Base Tech, and we got all the video on there and breakdown of how hitters hit against certain pitches. I mean, if you're wondering about data that we need on hitters, if you're a pitcher that's like, hey, can I get this? It's going to be available to you, which I mean, that's been the amazing part for myself, is just sometimes, you have to focus on making sure that you're not taking it into account too much, like overthinking the fact that, I have all this data available to me. You don't need to use all of it.
Right.
You just need to use the stuff and find the stuff that is the most important to how you pitch.
Okay, so moving up to Fort Wayne, dude, you just continue to dominate. It seems like every week we're like, okay, here's Robby Snelling gets a whole segment because he just threw, 9 strikeouts and 2 hits and just, did you feel more confident more in your secondary pitches as you're seeing better competition? You're still kind of getting the same results?
Absolutely. And I mean, my first start in Fort Wayne was kind of a wake up call for myself. It was just, I think they put up 4 runs in the first inning. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, is this really what it's going to be like the entire time I'm up here? And so, there's a little bit of doubt, but then after that, I think I threw 6 innings that day, or it might have been 5. And I think the next 4 or 5 innings that I threw, they were all shut out, and I ended with like 9 or 10 strikeouts. And then I just came back into the dugout, and the guys were like, it's just the baseball gods. That's all it was. The ball just wasn't falling, and it's different pitching there. Like I wouldn't say that I got comfortable in low A and brought that into the first inning in high A, because I knew that it was going to be better baseball.
Yeah.
I just think that I needed to make, I had to focus a little more and make tighter adjustments than what I was used to doing. And I was pretty happy and proud of myself for being able to make it in that, half inning of adjustment, and then going back out there and rolling after that. So,
we talked to Jacob Marcy, and he's like, because we talked about, hey, how was the pitching in high A compared to double A? He's like, I saw better pitching in high A.
Yeah, no, that's what all the hitters like. I mean, I talked to Graham Pauly a lot like that. He was my roommate for the entire time in double A on the road. And I mean, he would say it all the time. He's like, dude, the pitching in high A is just way better than what it is in double A. And I'm thinking that is partial to the fact that, like, you got guys that throw 100 miles an hour in high A. Sometimes they don't know where it's going.
Right.
And then you got guys in double A, and it's like, it's going to be a strike at some point. And so you can swing, and you can swing hard. And when you do that, you're going to be a pretty good hitter if it's going to be a strike majority of the time.
So did you have any takeaways from your time in the Midwest League? With any like lessons you gained out of that?
Yeah. I mean, so like likewise to what the hitters are thinking, I thought that pitching in high A was a lot easy. I mean, a lot harder than what it was in double A. And that's just because you're getting reaction swings sometimes, and those reaction swings can sneak through a hole somewhere. And I felt that when I was in double A, hitters had a lot better of an approach. And if they're up there sitting on a fastball and you spin a breaking ball, no matter if it's a strike or not, unless it's a 2-strike count, they're going to take it majority of the time. And if it's a 2-strike count, they're going to just try and foul it off. They're not trying to put it in play. They're just trying to, waste a pitch and get to the next one, for them to not guess, but, have stick to their approach of what they had. And so, I thought that from that aspect, high A was a lot harder than what double A was.
They say in the minor leagues, you pitch to your strengths, and in the majors, you pitch to the hitter's weakness.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so you made 4 starts in double A with the postseason start, 219. First, who were your roommates in? You had Pauly in Fort Wayne.
I had Pauly in double A. Fort Wayne, my roommate was Carter Lowen. And
Nice.
well, when I first got to Fort Wayne, it was Adam Major and Ryan Berger and Carter Lowen. And then Adam and Berg got moved up. Then it was just me and Carter. And then yeah, Paulie in double A. And then at home, I was in double A. I was rooming with Salas and Seth Mayberry. And then in low A, it was me and Ian Koenig, who he and I had a great relationship, and I mean, I was so upset when he blew his arm out.
Yeah.
That was a blow to me because he was my golfing buddy also.
Hmm.
And then once he left, I got Andrew Vale and Henry Williams and David Morgan in low A, and then Tyler Robertson also in low A.
Dude, like
So
a handful of those
there was
guys were on the
I
podcast.
I know. I know. It was a really good group of guys coming through that apartment.
You know,
Did
Carter
who
Lowen
does
is
most
one of
the
my
cooking?
favorite. Oh, you go ahead.
Who does most of the cooking?
There wasn't a lot of cooking done. We ate out a lot. DoorDash accounts were expensive. We'll say that. I did cook occasionally. Like we made a Costco run when we first got to Lowe in Cali, and I mean, I spent a lot of money at Costco, and I ate all that food, and it was just like it was easy stuff like chicken and rice and chicken skewers and that type of thing and burgers, and we made those. But once that was all out, and that probably, with how we ate, that was probably a good week and a half, 2 weeks worth of food. And then after that, it was just all DoorDash and eating out. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned Carter Lowen. I want to give him a shout out. We talked to him before he got hurt.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite stories to follow this year after, going through Tommy John and coming back. And Seth Mayberry is another one of those guys that's been through the grinder. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you got roomed not only with guys that are, young and on the way up like you, but also people that have kind of been around the block a little bit and
Yeah.
kind
Had
of
some
give
diversity.
you a different perspective on things.
absolutely, yeah. No, they taught me some lessons that I wasn't going to be able to do on my own. And so, and that comes with the experience that they have. So I was very thankful to be able to have those guys with me.
All right, dude. So you made four, like I said again, you made 4 starts in double A at 19.
Including a postseason start.
Dude, included a postseason start. Looking back, did what did you find in double A that kind of surprised you? I guess. I don't know. What do you think when you're 19 years old and you're playing double A and you're dominating in double A?
It was pretty crazy. I mean, it kind of just puts it like you get there. Well, first of all, you break camp and you get to low A, and you're like, man, I'm a long ways from the big leagues still. Like, San Diego's 40 miles down the road from me, but I'm a long ways from the big leagues. And you get to high A, still kind of the same thing. You're like, all right, like there's been a few guys that have been called up to double A and then they get called up to the big leagues from there. But like you're still you feel like it's a good 2 or 3 years away
Right.
from being in the big leagues. And then you get to double A and it's like you're on the doorstep of getting called up. Somebody gets hurt, you can get the nod that day and get up there. So that was something that was crazy and something that I wasn't nervous about, but I had to kind of calm myself down a little bit and say, hey, like we're not going to put all our eggs in one basket. You're here and you're going to continue doing what you did throughout the entire year. Just don't change anything. And that was the thing that I think surprised me the most was I did continue doing what I was doing and it was still successful at that level.
Yeah.
And so I think it just speaks volumes to the coaching staff that I had around me and the consistency and like the communication of the strength and conditioning staff that I had going up through all the levels and communicating, hey, this is what Robby does, this is what he needs on this day according to my start days. And and the pitching coaches and everything that everybody on the staff was doing just made the transition from each level so much easier.
That's good to hear because a lot of you guys made that double jump this year. And that's a testament to the organization communicating and collaborating, trying to, keep everybody prepared. So I got your
Absolutely.
game logs pulled up and it seems like pretty much most games you were going 5 innings. A handful of times you went 6, but your pitch count, you barely sniffed 90 pitches most of the times. One game you went 98, but were you were you working with limitations? Were they telling you, you're going to go this far, you're going to face this many batters?
So it wasn't batters wise, it was a pitch count, which frustrated me a little bit because I'm a guy that wants a leash. And if I'm throwing like in the Wichita game when me and Ethan we had the no-hitter going, and I think I ended that game at 89 or 90
Yeah.
pitches. And I was frustrated because I was like, I feel good. Like, just let me go. Like, not just for me, but for Ethan behind the plate, because he was doing a great job calling pitches for me, and I didn't want to leave that game because we were in such a groove and just firing on all cylinders together. But I mean, yeah, there was a pitch count, which in the long run is a smart decision. First season, most amount of innings I've ever thrown by about 40 innings. So, I mean, that's a big jump. And so, I'm thankful that they didn't press it a little bit. The one thing that I will say is that my arm felt better at the end of the year than it did at the beginning of the year when I broke camp in Leahy, which, I mean, again, testament to the training staff that we had, but also just for the arm care that they had us doing and that I was doing for myself. So, um, it was it wasn't a case where, I was hurting at the end of the year and I was like, I had no more innings in myself. I would have loved to have, snuck a few more innings in there.
Yeah, you rang the bell pretty much every time it came
Yeah.
up. You didn't have to take any, they didn't skip any starts with you all season, huh?
No, the only start that got skipped was when our clubhouse exploded in low A. That was
Yeah.
that was it.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Right. That
Yeah.
was like on a Friday night, right?
Yeah, yep, Friday, and I was getting ready for my start, and boom.
Oh
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Okay. So we only heard about this like third hand. Was it an actual explosion? Did you hear it?
Yeah, so it was a dry gas explosion. They were connecting a dryer, a gas powered dryer into our laundry room. And honestly, I don't know the whole story, but just the dryer exploded, and it was
Nice.
scary.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Because I'd heard that there was a fire, but I didn't hear anything about a boom. Oh, thank
Yeah.
goodness nobody got
Yeah.
seriously hurt. Okay, so you mentioned Ethan Salas, and he's somebody that obviously is getting a lot of press, but we haven't heard firsthand somebody who got to work with him on a because he was with you step by
Yeah.
step. How often was
Yeah.
he catching your games? And what were you guys doing on like game prep and strategy?
So he didn't start catching me in games until my last start in high A. I would throw to him occasionally. I mean, he got to low A a little later, um, and I'd throw bullpens to him occasionally. But we didn't really get to start working together in games until my last start in high A. And I mean, I'll say at the beginning, and I mean, he would admit this himself too. Yeah, there were some things that that he did that frustrated me a little bit, and that was just I was a huge preparation guy leading into the game. I'd take notes on the hitters before going into the game. The week leading up for the series that we were playing, and taking individual notes on each hitter, their tendencies, how they hit against every pitch that I throw, and we would have our pregame meetings, and he would come in and he didn't have any notes, and I'd get a little frustrated with it because you want to trust the guy and have ideas of how to pitch to the certain hitters to bounce off of your catcher with in the pregame meeting. And the first couple of starts, I didn't feel like I had that. But once I explained that to him and had a conversation with him about it, like I said, I got to room with him in Double A. I mean, he completely changed it. He started taking notes, and he told me, he goes, "I appreciate you telling me that because it made it way easier for me behind the plate, not just with you catching you, but with all the other guys that I was catching and all the other guys that were on the staff and the relievers." He goes, it made life way easier. So, I mean, the strides that he made this year was I could never imagine myself being in the position he was in at 17 years old. I mean, it's crazy to think that he was dealing with grown men pitching to him on such a high stage, and
Yeah.
he had so much poise that he did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, and
thanks for sharing that because
yeah.
you hear about okay the tools and how he how he looks receiving and this and that, but that's what I've been curious about is the stuff off the field between games, how does he interact with people? And then these lessons, because I mean, ultimately this is what you're there to learn, and you only learn it by running into something. You got to have somebody pull you aside and say, look, this is what you're doing and this is what you need to do. So I mean, it's great to hear that he not only was he able to take that little bit of suggestion, but actually take it and run with it, and it made him better. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was happy to see it.
Having a 19-year-old tell a 17-year-old in high A and double A how
I
to
know,
how to
right?
play elite
I
baseball.
mean,
That's
yeah,
just
no,
an abundance
the
of riches.
that's the crazy thing too, is like when I'm thinking it, I'm like, man, I gotta tell him because it's frustrating the hell out of me. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm in the same position that he's in. Like, what is it gonna mean coming from a kid that's 2 years older than him? That's just, is it gonna stick, or is he gonna take it and be like, okay, like I gotta change something? But he's so mature that he hears everything out, and he's like, all right, like I see what you're talking about. I need to make a fix to it.
Okay, so who
That's
taught you about taking the notes and the method that you've come up with?
So my low A pitching coach, Thomas Eshelman, who just got done
etch.
playing with the Padres, he's amazing. He was the best pitching coach that I had up until that point. And I mean, he just told me, he was like, hey, this is something I did. This might make your life easier. You don't have to do it. And I think I kind of went a little overboard with what he told me to do, because he was like, just look at tendencies of hitters, and I just completely dove into the rabbit hole of base tech, and wrote down how hitters hit, what their average was against each pitch that I threw, how I should pitch to them in counts. And then I had all of that stuff written down, and I come into the meetings and he's like, dude, this is too much stuff. He's like, you're messing with your brain. He goes, you got to simplify it a little bit. Just go out there and pitch. Numbers don't mean anything. You know, sometimes you look at it and you go, this guy doesn't hit well off of fastballs. But he might hit well off of your fastball. And that's something that you have to find, that's an in-game adjustment the second time through the lineup that you have to make. So he goes, you can't just rely on your notes every time. He goes, it's going to be there, and it's a good cushion to have and a good starting block. But once you get into the game, it can be completely different.
Yeah. I think that's where even in the major league level, they're still trying to figure out the sweet spot in between using the technology and not overwhelming hitters and pitchers, and using it as a tool, and not kind of, and having it be valuable. You can have all this information, but if you're not doing, if you're doing too much, you're kind of getting scrambled. If you're doing too little, you're not using it properly. It's still a balance, I think. And some of the better organizations, I think, find that sweet spot with the using technology and stats.
Absolutely.
All right. So, dude, do you take some time off this off season?
I did. I did. I got probably a good three weeks to a month off, and it was much needed. I enjoyed it for sure. Just being home with the family and with the girlfriend, and being able to be home for the holidays. It's important for sure.
Did you get a chance to go fishing?
I did, yeah. So we got a really good lake up here. It's called Pyramid Lake. It's known for, world record cutthroat trout in it. So been going up there a lot. The fishing hasn't quite turned on because we haven't gotten the weather that we thought we were going to get. But once it starts getting really cold down into the teens, the fishing is going to get really good.
I see that trophy buck behind you. Have you been hunting at all?
Yeah, that's a elk that my dad got. Oh, probably 9 years ago, 10 years ago. Yeah, so we actually got that in Nevada, which that was a fun hunt. There's some pictures of it up here. I can show you guys.
Yeah.
I can flip my camera.
Oh, dude, that's epic.
Yeah.
Wow, beautiful.
For those of you at
Yeah.
home, you see a picture of this giant stag and Robbie's dad and little Robbie.
Yeah, and then
Do you go by
and
Rob
then
or Robbie? Is it Rob or
I go
Robbie or
I go by Robbie. That's the buck that I
okay.
got. That was my first buck that I ever killed.
Wow.
That was also in Nevada. But yeah, no, this is pretty good trophy room. We got some turkeys up there.
Nice.
But yeah, this is a good hangout spot.
Are you in Reno now?
I am. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so going into this off season, Are you making any adjustments in your workout, in your throwing program? Are you kind of, are you kind of not bulking up? Are you prepping up for even more innings this year?
So I think that I mean, we obviously with the dead period, we haven't really talked, about, um, haven't talked at all about what the inning limit is going to look like for next year. I'm hoping that the inning limit gets raised a little bit, so kind of just getting ready for that. But really, I'm just trying to replicate what I did last off season
Nice.
because I mean, it worked out pretty well for me, and I don't really want to steer away from it. Obviously, hammering the mobility because the more I do that, it's going to be even better than it was last year. And getting stronger is just going to come with maturity and aging as I continue playing, and so I'm not really trying to force that. There's no need to, and just enjoying the time, getting the arm moving and working out. I have Ray Kerr over here too in Reno,
Nice.
so I get to work out with him, and do that type of thing. So have the guys around me still.
What's the throwing program like? Are you throwing it all right now? You're ramping up?
Yeah, yeah, I'm throwing about 3 to 4 days a week right now. Um, just 3 catch days and my plyo balls, and then if I throw a fourth day, it'll probably just be plyo balls, just kind of getting my arm moving, getting it used to weight and endurance and that type of thing.
So
All
then
right,
what's your
dude.
schedule like between now and like when do you plan on reporting? And do you have any plans between now and then?
So from what I've heard, that once the dead period's lifted on January 2nd, I think is when it's lifted. Um, they'll give me a text and a call and just let me know when to come down. They said expect to be down there in early January, so we'll see what that means. I mean, I'm hoping that they don't call and they say, on January 2nd, hey, we need you down here tomorrow. So I'm
Right.
hoping that I don't get that call, but that's kind of the plan right now. We got a new puppy in there. Is that what that is?
Is it-
Yeah, we have a new puppy.
I love it. Hold on,
Yeah.
I gotta show my girlfriend real quick.
We just
Ah!
we just picked her up this weekend and we can't come up with a name. We keep throwing names back and forth
Look
and
at that.
between everybody in the
I
household, we
can't pick
haven't been
out a
able to
name.
we haven't so we I think we want a name that starts with a D. I'd like something you can shorten into like 2 syllables or something like that, but I
Yeah,
don't know. We keep throwing different things around. But no, she's a sweetie, but she likes to chew on everything.
that's
She thinks
amazing.
she can eat the entire world. But yeah, that's our new member of our family.
That's amazing. That's awesome. I've having a little puppy fever right now. That's something I got to get away from because I'm not in the market to get a dog yet. So
Yeah, it's a big commitment. And right now, so I think my wife just brought her in here because I guess she was being too fussy out there.
Yeah.
So
that's
now
fine.
I get to do
I'm
a little
fine.
puppy
I'm
sitting.
fine with staring at her. That's
All right.
fine.
So the puppy fever is that a little hint, nudge, nudge to the girlfriend on the other side of the room.
Yeah, maybe a little Christmas idea. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, there you go.
Well, I see you had the pointer hat. Do you guys have dogs? Do you have any hunting dogs or no?
So I used to have a hunting dog.
Okay.
We had to put him down. He got pretty old. He was 16 and just couldn't move anymore. So I had a yellow lab though. So that's what that's
Oh.
why it caught my eye.
Uh,
But yeah, no, I'm a lab guy for sure. And right now I have a Springer Spaniel. It's more my mom's dog than anything, but she doesn't do a lot of hunting. She's just a house dog. So um, but one of my buddies that I go fishing with a lot over at Pyramid Lake, he just got a black lab, a little puppy black lab, and he's training her to be a hunting dog. So that'll be fun.
dude, that's epic. That is so epic. We're older over here in my house, so it's cat. I got a cat.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
got
We got a cat too. We have a
a
cat too.
all right, let's have some fun. This a lot of baseball stuff. Okay, so you're left-handed, but you bat right. Did you rake in
I
high
do.
school?
I hit pretty well. Yeah, I set I was the my senior year I led the league in home runs. So not too much of a slump in hitting. So
Dude, you got to let one of when you get back to Double A, like tell Raul Padron, who's been on the podcast, is friends of ours, like let me get in that bat. Like maybe
I
sometime
might
toward the,
have to. I
you
might
know.
have to.
If I throw
Yeah.
5 no-hit innings, I get 1 at bat the next,
Right. Yeah.
At least let you take
At
batting
least let me
practice a
take,
little
yeah,
bit.
exactly. At least let me take batting practice.
We've
Ah,
heard that if they throw a shutout, they would let the pitchers take BP the next day, but that's back when the
That's
guys
what
were still hitting.
Zamo, so our low A manager, he told all of us that. He was like, if the staff throws a combined shutout, pitchers can hit BP. And it never happened while I was down there. But then I guess it did happen one time and he didn't stick to his word. So I don't know if that's ever gonna happen.
Oh man, we're gonna have to
Dude,
talk to him about that.
I'm hitting him up next year. Like, what's up with that? Hold on, man. Okay, so
Do
you got
you play
20.
golf right? You play golf right-handed too, though?
I do. Yep.
Uh,
Swing golf
Okay.
club right-handed.
so you got 26 full ride scholarships to play football.
Yes, sir.
How many did you get for baseball?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you because they all kind of mixed in. So I started getting my offers for baseball at the end of my 8th grade year. So like the summer between 8th grade and freshman year. And I mean, those offers were coming in, but it was kind of like, it was one of those things because you're so young, obviously you can't talk to the colleges, like they can't call you.
Right.
And so it was like a middleman type of thing. And I'd have a coach tell me, hey, you got to call this coach at this time. And it was just a lot. And I was like, I have no interest in like trying to chase that. And so all the offers would go to my pitching coach and he would just tell me, hey, like this team reached out, they offered you. And then my sophomore year when football offers started coming in, you know, it started having baseball coaches from other schools going to the football office and saying, hey, this guy's really good at football, but he's also really good at baseball. Like maybe we could both have him. And so then because football gives you a full ride and because they have 80 something scholarships. Um, and so, if football liked you, they'd reach out and they would talk to me and they would have the relationship from that point. And they just say, hey, baseball team loves you. We love you. You have an offer here and you create that relationship with them. So.
Real quick, Roy. So did you were roommates with Tyler Robertson? Were any of those offers from Alabama?
No, none of them.
Ah,
No offers
damn,
from
dude.
Alabama.
Oh.
I talked to him for baseball, but I didn't. Coach Saban didn't like me for football. I guess.
All right,
Oh.
tell us the Hunter Pence story.
Yeah, so that one's my dad told me that he told you guys that one. That's a pretty cool one. So another like an Aces game that we talked about earlier. Went to an Aces game. I can't remember what grade I was in. I was probably in 6th grade or so. And he was making a rehab start for the River Cats and they were playing the Aces and they came up here and you have all the fans in their Giants gear down on the line and he's signing autographs and coming off the line from playing catch and walking over taking pictures with people and I'm standing probably 10, 15 rows up in the stands and just admiring it, just taking it in and it's cool to be in a presence of a guy that's that
Oh,
well
yeah.
known and people are going crazy and he takes the ball that he was playing catch with and he's like about to toss it into the stands and like everybody's going crazy. There's probably a line 3 or 4 rows deep of people at the base of the stands. And I'm just standing up there clapping, waving my hand at him, calling for the ball, and he points at me, tosses the ball to me, and then probably this 50-year-old guy jumps in front of me, takes the ball, and
Oh.
Hunter Pence had like started to turn and walk away, but he looked back and saw that I didn't have the baseball, and he sees the guy walking away, and he yells up into the stands, "Hey, give the ball back to him!" And so guy turned around, gave the ball back to me, and Hunter Pence gave me a thumbs up. I was like, that was pretty cool. And then fast forward the summer after my junior year, going into my senior year, I'm playing in the perfect game All-American game, and Hunter Pence is announcing, and he's speaking on. I think they had a broadcast of it or something, but he's giving the introduction of myself as I'm warming up to pitch. So I mean, he has no idea that
Right.
I was the kid that he tossed that ball to, but for me that's pretty cool.
So you've pitched at Petco Park.
I have, yeah. I didn't throw well, but I've pitched at Petco Park.
That's all good. It's all good. All right. So besides hunting and fishing, what else do you do to escape from baseball?
Really just hanging out with my family, my girlfriend. I draw a little bit. I'm an artist. I like to think. I took a couple art classes in high school. I always drew pictures growing up.
Are we talking like landscapes, portrait, still life?
So I drew a picture. One of our projects in high school was human like pictures of people. So I drew a picture of Saquon Barkley.
Oh
Holy
wow, yeah.
damn.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, that's really the only one that I think I have hung up. The rest of them are kind of stuffed in a drawer somewhere, so none of our guests can see them. Um, but other than that, there's not really much. I know my parents told me that they told you that I am a singer, but I don't. I'm far from that. I am not a singer. That's parents being proud of their child that they think that they're the best at everything. So
Well, he also sent me pictures of you in Ducks gear, in Ducks football uniform.
yeah,
Boo. I'm
So
an Oregon
yeah,
State Beaver, so I got to get my
Beaver.
piece in there.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, no, I did I took a visit to Oregon when I was having all the offers and things for that. I had a lot of visits set up actually. I don't regret it, but I wish I would have taken them because the pictures and just seeing like different states and different universities, that was a really cool experience. Like I got to go to ASU, I got to go to Oregon, like you said. I got to go to U of A and see those schools and do the whole tour. And when Jay Johnson left Arizona and went to LSU, he called me and he was like, "Hey, I want to bring you with me. Like, we got to set up your official visit." And so I went down to LSU when I still had a visit lined up with like Penn State and Texas
Yeah.
and Auburn, and I had those visits lined up. But I got to LSU and it was just like it hit me that that was where I wanted to be. And I just made the decision. I was like, "Hey, I don't need to go see anywhere else. This is where I feel comfortable." So, I mean, I made the right decision for sure, but it would have been awesome to go be able to take those visits.
Hey, that's a unique opportunity to get to
Yeah.
go, travel around and see some different places.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, do you have any superstitions? Are you funny about numbers, habits, food, clothes?
Yeah, so actually a lot of guys think it's funny. The food that I say it's breakfast, it's more of like because I wake up a little later on a start day. Um, but at about 10 o'clock I'll wake up on my start day and I'll order Jersey Mike's and a buffalo chicken sandwich. And that's that's my superstition for my start day meal, which it's a little different, but I mean that's just what I found works for me. And so I'm not going to change it. And I mean, I used to be superstitious about numbers. High school playing football, I was number 4, and then I tried to get number 4 for baseball, but the jersey was too small, so I had to settle for 5. And yeah, so that kind of threw the number superstition out the
All right.
window because you know I just you put a number on my back, I'll go out and play. It doesn't make a big difference to me.
Jersey Mike's is all over the place, but what if you're in a town that doesn't have Jersey Mike's like DoorDash available? Have you looked into that?
I haven't come into that, that situation yet, thankfully. I have thought about it though, and I think that Subway would probably either it's like a sub we have porta subs over here, which I like a little more than Subway, but I think that Subway would have to, kind of take the place. I think I would have to replace a sandwich with a sandwich.
Right.
So
Right.
probably the closest one would probably be Subway.
Interesting. That's so interesting. Okay. Well, now we're still on the topic of food. Is it Five Guys or In and Out?
Ooh, that's a good. I'd have to go with In and Out. In and Out's a staple. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, does pineapple belong on pizza?
Yes, absolutely.
My guy, yes.
My girlfriend would disagree. She's an Italian, so she thinks I'm ridiculous when I order pineapple on my pizza.
My
Uh,
wife is Italian, same thing, and she looks at me like I'm crazy, but it's delicious.
Yeah. Yeah. I said you just gotta try it. And I think that they're just in denial. I think that's
yeah.
all it is.
All right.
All right, so if you could jump in a time machine, who's one hitter, past, present, future, that you would like to face?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Um, I'd probably want to go back and face Ken Griffey Jr.
Junior,
I
the
think that that
kid.
would, yeah, I think that that would be a lot of fun.
That's very diplomatic of you because, you're not very far off from
Yeah,
facing your Aaron Judges, your J Rods, your,
right.
some of the big league guys. And I mean, none of those guys listen to this podcast, but you never know. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. It might be put on just randomly one day. They'll be forced to listen to it.
All right. So you're stranded on an island with food, water, and shelter. What are the three things that you can't live without?
I'd probably go fishing pole,
Mhm.
a dog,
Yep.
and probably fishing pole, a dog, and you said I have shelter, right?
Yeah. Food and shelter.
Fishing pole, a dog, and I'd have to go either a shotgun or a rifle, just a gun of some sort. I
All
think
right.
I think I
If you
can
can't
I
catch
think
it
I
with a
can make.
rod, shoot the fish.
Yeah, no, I know. You'll make do with something. Maybe a bird will land on the island. You never know.
There you go. All right. So if you can have a pet that's not a cat or a dog, what would you like to have?
Hmm. Sugar glider. That's a dream of mine since I was a kid.
Oh,
I think
those are
sugar
so
gliders are
cool.
such yeah, I think they're such cool animals.
Oh, what? Oh, what?
It's
You
it's
know,
it's like a squirrel. It's related to a squirrel. It's a rodent, and they're small, but they've got a patch of skin between their front leg and so they
Okay.
can,
You're the flying squirrel.
yeah,
Rocky. So
basically,
you
yeah,
want,
but it's
okay.
tiny. It's
Right.
about this big. Yeah.
you can put it in your shirt pocket.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Your dad also said that you shoot squirrels. Yeah.
Yeah, we have before, yeah.
Okay. Do you know how to dress a deer?
Yeah. That's a must.
Okay. For those
Did
of
you
you
have
at
to help
home, he
out with
just
that
gave me the
elk
look
behind you?
like, what are you, an idiot?
Yeah, I did actually. That's a funny story. So, yeah, that elk hunt that we went on, my dad shot the elk the night before, and the sun was going. He shot it from across a canyon, and so right as the sun was going down, and there wasn't going to be enough daylight to pack it out that night. So we waited. Hopefully, we were hoping that the elk wasn't going to get eaten by a mountain lion over the night. So hiked back up the next morning because it was cold enough to like preserve the meat. It wasn't going to spoil or anything. Um, hiked back up the next morning, 4.5 miles. Got up there, got in there, quartered up the elk, packed it out. 4.5 miles. I didn't drink any water, and
Oh,
I was 10 years old, I think, and so we get into the truck, we're driving home. It's late and we decided to stay at a hotel for that night, but I fell asleep in the back of the car and I wake up with the worst cramps that I had ever had in my legs. And I'm dying from the cramps. And my dad's checking on me. Everything ends up being fine. Get water and food in me. And my grandpa was on the hunt with us and he goes, I had always wanted to be a hunting guide when I was little and as like a side gig. And he goes, "Do you still want to guide? You still want to guide for elk when you're older?" And I was like, "No, that's stupid. I don't ever want to do this again."
hey, did you so out there hunting? Do you ever run into any bears?
So you'll see them occasionally, but most of the time they keep their distance. They know you're there before you ever know that they're there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they stay away from you.
So ever since that experience, I'm sure you're big on hydration and
Yeah.
Oh,
bananas and
yeah,
electrolytes and all that
yeah,
stuff. Was
yeah.
cramping ever an issue this year?
No, I never cramped. I mean, the only time that I would even, come close to it was, post start and the next morning, after my body's just tired, muscles are fatigued, and I'd wake up in the morning and do a little stretching and get a little side cramp or a calf cramp or a toe cramp or something.
Okay. All right. So you're on American Idol. You're at the last the finals. What song do you sing?
I'd probably have to go with Lady May by Tyler Childers.
Can you give us a bar or two?
I don't think that I'm gonna do that and embarrass myself. Yeah,
Good
I'll give you
answer.
I'll give you the song and you can listen to it or choose not to, but that's the song that I would choose.
I gotta look at your girlfriend right now. Is she laughing right now? Is that what?
She's laying on the ground. I think she's hungry.
All right. Okay. All right. We'll tell her we're almost done. We're done.
Yeah, we
We're
got to
No,
done.
get
it's
you
all
out of here.
good.
It's dinner
It's
time
all
for
good.
you. It's dinner time for us. We appreciate you taking the
Dude.
time with us. This has been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, man. Well, hey, if we don't get a chance to talk to you before the season starts, Roy will be out there for spring training. So
Yeah,
if you see
absolutely.
him come up and say hi, you can big league him. Do that. That's kind of fun.
No,
You're like,
absolutely not.
hey, man, real quick question. I want to ask this for people that always talk about going out to spring training. If people walk up to you, you guys are standing around the field, like you guys are in the backfields, right? Standing around.
Yeah.
You guys are okay to have kids come up to you and sign autographs. Yeah. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, as long like if we're walking to a field, and I mean, I think that I don't know exactly how it works. I think that there's at the beginning of the day, there's like a pamphlet of like what the agenda is for that day for
Right.
I
Right.
think it's for big league camp that they do that. And so like I mean, I think it would be really smart because I feel awful when, I'm rushing. If I had a workout at 9:45 and it's done at 10:45 and I have to be on a field by 10:50 or
Yeah.
10:55 and I'm sprinting out to the field and kids are like, "Can you sign this? Can you sign?" I feel awful running by them, but like I have a job that I have to go get to. So like
Yeah.
if we're not doing anything and we're walking really slow and like you look at the agenda and it's 10:30 and we don't have to be out there till 10:50. Like I I would stop absolutely. But I mean, I think that also differs for the people that you ask. Because some guys, they might be having a bad day and they don't want to sign anything.
Right.
But I try my best because like you never know. I always put myself in the situation of like you never know how long somebody's gonna want your autograph. Like how cool is that
Yeah.
feeling that somebody thinks you're so important that they need to have your handwriting and your signature on something of theirs. So I do my best to stop and do my due diligence for those people.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this the other day. Okay, so I don't know if you're going to get an invite to Major League spring training, but even if you don't, you may get pulled up. They call guys up every day. Have you thought about sitting in a locker room and looking over here is you Darvish and looking over there is Joe Musgrove and there's Manny Machado? Like you may have that experience in a couple months. Have you
Yeah.
thought about that?
I've definitely thought about it. I mean, I think it's going to be amazing. It's just going to be a great experience to be able to take in advice and just kind of sit back and watch because I'm not going to be a person that goes up and introduces myself right away or does that type of thing like googly eyes at them.
Right.
But at the same time, like I'm just going to sit back and watch and see how they do things because they're professionals. They've been in it for a pretty long time and they know what they're doing and they have their stuff down. And so I mean that's what I aspire to be like. I think everybody wants to be in the situation that they're in. And so if I can just replicate what they're doing, I think I'll be in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I always
Nice.
love those shots that they put out at spring training where somebody's throwing a bullpen and there's Trevor Hoffman watching, and here's somebody else just standing back, and it's like that's just got to be such a cool scene to be in the middle of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, dude. Well, once again, we really appreciate you coming on again for a little bit longer this time. Good luck this season, man. I watched every start this last year, and I'll probably watch every start again this year.
I love
Um,
it.
all the way up to your debut at Petco Park later on this
I
season.
love it. Absolutely. I'm hoping so.